1015 FM, 720 AM. KDWN, the talk of Las Vegas.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. 1 full hour of wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's bring on the tag team of Andrew Fish Fain, Joe DeFalco, and your host, Mark Hoke.
All right, everybody. It's Hulkamania time. Oh, yeah. Me and my merry band of misfits and wrestling guys as we get on another edition of the Mark Hoke Show here on KDWN 1015 FM. 720 AM. It is the talk of Las Vegas. We're the talk of Las Vegas because, man, we are just sexy and we know it, aren't we, Fish?
Oh, hell yes.
My co-pilots on this amazing journey, as per usual, Andrew Fish Fain. What's up, big man?
What's going on?
Getting ready for another Sports X Radio, of course, tomorrow night with him.
But before that, we have another premium live event that no one cares about.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking forward to that one. And, of course, from future stars of wrestling, just coming off of another big show last night, the amazing, the incredible.
The incomparable.
He's just a righteous dude. Joe DeFalco. Joe, how are you?
Oh, tremendous. Am I the brother of Brudai, by the way?
Yeah, there you go. That'll work.
I like that.
Yeah. We got it all
But
going
I will say, first of all, I've missed you the last few weeks, Joe. I wasn't on a couple of weeks ago. You weren't on last week, so I've missed you. But when we get going, there's something that I'm very glad you're on today because I want to talk to you about it.
Hopefully I'll make it through. It was like the week before we had all the shows. The week after the shows, it was like, man, I guess I'm old. It took its toll. I was out of commission for a few days. Feeling a little better.
Did you end up getting COVID, by the way?
I guess.
Did you end up getting COVID?
What's that?
Did you have COVID, or were you just sick?
I don't even know.
Yeah, didn't even check. COVID
I felt sick, and then it was like, you know what? I'm feeling better. Why chance it? I stayed home.
There you go.
Smart move.
The COVID's been going around the KDWN Beasley Broadcasting family, unfortunately. So,
but I did miss you, Joe. That was the key to my little statement earlier.
Well, I went to visit you. I was at Cheesecake Factory the other day, but you weren't there. I'm like, is Fish there? They're like, who? Well, what kind of fish you need to order? I'm like, no, I need fish there. And they're like, yeah, we got salmon, we got some tilapia. And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, my God. Well, guys, what an insane week we've had since the last show. Of course, on Sunday morning, we came in here and Double or Nothing was coming up that evening here in Las Vegas. And obviously, we've got to start there with some of the fallout from all of that. Guys, your general thoughts about what happened at Double or Nothing, what you thought of the card. Obviously, I was there, so I got to experience it. I'll save my thoughts for a second. But what are your takes on that? Fish, I'll start with you. What stands out from you from AEW Double or Nothing?
I thought overall it was a very, very solid show. I don't think there was a single bad match on the card. But none of the matches to me stood out as, oh, my God, this was absolutely amazing. So it was all very good, very solid, very strong. So, it was like a solid B+, A- kind of thing. I was interested to see if MJF was going to show up, first of all. And that story has continued to grow. And to me, that and the CM Punk story, the two biggest things that came out of Double or Nothing.
Joe, what were your thoughts on that? Because obviously 13 matches on there was a long card and a lot going on. What did you think?
First off, I'm not buying any of the MJF stuff. Okay, he bought a flight, but he ended up showing up, and we've come to learn, and it's like, in this day and age, we question everything. So of course, everything needs to be questioned, but it's like it's hard for people to just sit back and enjoy because you don't believe anymore. My son actually got hired through the Jim Jones, who used to work at Ring of Honor, and he was shooting the Fan Fest as a photographer with our other guy, Mikey, who does our graphic stuff. And MJF was one of the talents that they had FTR, they got to take photos of. And MJF was another guy. And, it seemed like it was chaos, but I just can't believe that one of these things could lead into another, and then he shows up and gets brutalized anyway, which I didn't understand. And then he cuts this promo on Wednesday, and it's like, okay, it's hard for me to believe that they're allowing that to be on television. So
yeah, that was going to be my question for you, Joe, about what I was talking about earlier, and that's if there was this big trouble between MJF and Tony Khan, if it was real, if it was an actual shoot, there's no way they gave him the microphone on Wednesday to speak, right?
Of course not. And again, it's like the stories come out, and it's like, well, they offered him a raise. He's gotten a raise already, which again is nowhere near. And I joke because I know guys like Brian Cage who are making a lot of money and unfortunately aren't being utilized. And I'm pretty sure that's kind of one of the guys like MJF's talking about. They're these guys who are making way more than me, and you're not even using them. But the bottom line is, if I'm offering you a new contract and you say, well, you know what, I'm going to wait till my contract ends and I want to see what Vince has to offer me. Well, then what is the threat of a holdout? It's like you can't leave for a year anyway. Or we can make it a storyline and at least build something for a year. And if he leaves, he leaves. But I would have to believe that they've come to some sort of an agreement that the best storyline is the one that's based off truth. And the truth is, he might be frustrated, and he might want more money. And B, we know he's all going to make that money. But maybe it's let's have a good time for the year that I'm here, and we'll see what happens after that.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, it looked like for a while, with the plane story, obviously, he actually made fun of that when he came out at Double or Nothing, did a little plane flight thing in the ring. And certainly it added to the suspense of this. But Fish, I agree with you. There's no way if he is going to sit out and he's disgruntled that they're going to put him out there. So there's no doubt that this whole thing's a work at this point. And they probably did come to some sort of agreement with this whole thing. I think the tricky part for me is, if you're Tony Khan, do you pay him but not get an extension in return? Because I would think that, you still have the leverage there. And he could just make MJF sit if he really wanted to.
I mean, so. I think that the whole thing is based in reality. I think that MJF really feels that he's underpaid, underutilized, and that he's getting screwed in this whole deal. But I don't think that he's going to actually not wrestle. I mean, and it was a nice touch of AEW taking him off of the active roster page, and so you can't find him on the website. His merchandise, apparently, if you try to click on it,
gone.
It gives you a 404 error. So
that's not a real 404 error, by the way. That 404 error screen, if you've gone to it, there's no way that wasn't something that they stuck up there intentionally.
Oh, I'm sure. And so, they're playing it to the hilt, which is what that's the best thing AEW can do. But like I said, I really believe that it's based in truth, like Joe said.
Yeah. And,
the thing about it is, it's like, okay, if it is true, then now his professionalism would be questioned by WWE moving forward.
Right.
Like, hey, this guy's got a signed contract and he's playing games and he's got a year left. Is this the type of guy that we want? And he's been a professional about the whole thing until recently when everything's kind of heated up, and it just happened to be right before Double or Nothing. It just screams that it has to be that way. And as wrestling fans, we tend to believe everything is that way, and we wait for, the hidden camera to show up and see, it wasn't real. it was set up all the time, and we've done that with a lot of different things. And it's like, okay, well, was Mustafa Ali at work the whole time? Well, probably not. But now they've come to an agreement that, hey, you know what? You're getting paid. How about we kind of utilize you in some little thing?
Yeah, and one thing about the promo to kind of,
which was actually absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, to put a bow on this. What stood out to me in everything that he said was there was a line there that said, "How can I possibly be the best?" Well, newsflash, I am the best. I'm the best in the world because I'm the only guy who makes you feel. And unlike all those other boys, I don't have to do a bunch of BS to get you there. And that, to me, you know, from everything that I've read about MJF, he is such a student of the game. I mean, he went back and he's learned from tapes of Ric Flair, Nick Bockwinkel, and has gone back and just seen what has worked in the past, seen what the greats have done before him, and has just taken that knowledge and used it, whereas a lot of people don't, or in maybe the case of WWE, they don't let people use it. He really understands what you're trying to do out there, maybe more than almost anybody in professional wrestling right now, and he's only 26 years old.
And if you're going to run a storyline like this, who better to have on your under contract on your side than CM Punk, who ran basically that same storyline with the WWE in 2011?
Yeah, and
but also it's like, all right, he's the best, he's this. Well, in MLW, nobody cared. In the Indies, nobody cared. The only platform that's ever given him that opportunity to do it is AEW. So you're going to crap all over the guys who've given you the opportunity that you should be thanking Tony Khan, because of the fact that if it wasn't for Tony Khan, Vince McMahon wouldn't want to pay this guy millions of dollars.
Yeah, I agree. And one thing that I think he does have to be a little bit careful on in these promos is to not denigrate the company too much, not denigrate the other wrestlers.
I mean, he's already taken Tony Khan way down, saying he's a mark, he belongs on the other side of the rail, and I mean, he went
or not go over the heads of the wrestling fans. That's always too shooty. Like yesterday, we had a promo with one of our guys, Ice Williams, and he's wrestling Hammerstone at the anniversary show for the title. And he comes out because it's things that I have said. And it's like, well, we're going around as Ice Williams may not be ready for the heavyweight championship. Well, none of the fans have any idea what you mean. Like, me not being ready is a business decision that I feel he needs, whether it's more experience, better wrestling. There's that inner working that when you try to expose the truth and be Mr. Shoot, that the fans are kind of like, what is this guy even talking about? And, on some of the inner workings of what MJF says, I think the AEW fans are a little more in on the lingo than, say, a WWE fan. But still, you don't want to ostracize the majority of your audience because they really don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it is definitely a fine line there, but I don't know if there's a better promo in professional wrestling right now than MJF.
But in the wrestling world, and if you go on Twitter and you go on Facebook, obviously it's working because people, I hear some people, oh, my God, that's the greatest promo I've ever seen in wrestling. And then you got some people that are like, oh, that was terrible, and it made no sense to the average fan, and blah, 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 blah. So, but, again, everybody's talking about it. So, nobody's talking about Thunder Rosa not showing up.
I'm about to say, it also knocked Sasha Banks and Naomi completely out of the headlines.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all forgotten.
Yeah, I mean, with everything that's happened at AEW over the past week, there's a WWE event.
The other work is forgotten about.
Yeah, and nobody's talking about Hell in a Cell on tonight. Nobody's talking about this.
No, and I didn't realize that going into Friday night there wasn't a single SmackDown match in the whole thing.
No, there's not. This is something and this is why I pointed out that one line for MJF about the guy that makes you feel, because I think that's where a lot of times WWE is lacking is they're cookie cuttering everything so much that you're not getting that feeling of why should I care for the most part. You had Roman Reigns who pulled you in and Paul Heyman, and really Riddle and RK and Randy Orton did a great job with RK Bro. But after that, where is WWE pulling you right now? I mean, and this pay-per-view coming up, and it's nothing against anybody on the card, and I'm sure there's going to be some great matches tonight. But does anybody care?
Oh, it's tonight?
Yeah.
I forgot it was even tonight. It's like, so we got to see Cody Rhodes with the clean sweep over Seth Rollins, like that's helped anybody or accomplishes anything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, nobody cares about that. I mean,
the best part about that match, like I said, was the promo that Seth Rollins cut on Monday.
Yeah,
it's going to be probably a terrific match. You've got two of the best in the world,
and his reward's another loss. So it's like, but there's no build up. You know what I mean? There's no like, man, what a conflict this is. It's like Cody Rhodes came in, WrestleMania match, boom, beat him. Figured that was going to happen. They had a rematch. Oh, beat him. Now they have a Hell in a Cell match. It's like, how does it get to that level when you're, especially the heel, and you've lost clean 2 times in a row over the last 2 months? Why do we need a third one?
And especially in a Hell in a Cell match. Now, the Hell in a Cell match is supposed to be reserved for a massive rivalry with hatred and passion.
Mankind and The Undertaker.
Yeah, there's
Al Snow and the Big Boss Man with the dogs around the ring. The greatest one of all time.
This one just it doesn't seem like it fits in a Hell in a Cell. It just does not. If you'd have done,
I have to say though, I saw a picture of Madcap Moss with the new gear. He almost looks like a pro wrestler now.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, but the WWE right now is in a lot of trouble from not only is AEW pulling a lot of stuff, but the way they've been booked, and because Mark and I were just talking about this before we went on the air, having Roman Reigns being your only champion and then not being on any shows right now is absolutely killing them. Their ratings are down a lot, and Fox is not happy.
And it's an uphill battle because the AEW fans are genuinely way more passionate about things than the WWE fans. So it's easy for those guys to suck you into something because you're wanting to be. While WWE fans, you want to come, you want to buy the, I'm number one little things that you wave in the air. And it's the same thing over and over and over again. So why would I invest my emotions? I might invest my time, but in wrestling, for things to get to that next level, you have to invest your emotions into what's happening, and there's no stories there that make me feel that way. RK Bro was the last thing we saw that it was like, yeah, we like these guys, man. Cool, they're going to unify the titles. We haven't seen this. It's something different. Oh, they're losing? Oh, okay. What's next? And AEW, regardless of what side somebody's on, you can't deny the fact that the passion seems to be those guys because they're getting the freedom. And that's what I always like to do as a promoter myself. Hey, this is what I'm kind of looking for, guys. You kind of do your thing. And with AEW, it's been how many years since somebody's been able to be on a giant stage and being able to kind of craft what's getting them over or not, instead of being handed a script and saying, man, you suck, you can't even get over. And it's like, yeah, but this stuff is crap. Yeah, too bad. This guy got over with it.
And I can speak to that passion of AEW because I did get to go to all 3 shows last week. And the atmosphere at a WWE event is, it's WWE, and there's electricity in the air, obviously, for some of the matches and everything. But
and
in terms of the passion, the fans are so into it for everybody. I mean, even the AEW dark matches that they had, the fans were still having a blast and still cheering and having a great time. And you had a match on Rampage with Ruby Soho and Chris Statlander that to a point you'd be like, oh, that's kind of a throwaway match in the Owen Hart tournament. Everybody was going crazy in that match. Crazy. They were cheering Chris Statlander and probably had one of the biggest pops I heard all weekend long for her during that match. And you know, I remember sitting there to myself saying, man, this is what it's supposed to be like. You know, people care about a match like this, and then you take it and expand it to guys like MJF and so on, and it's a way different atmosphere at AEW than it is at WWE. It's almost kind of like you think of the WWE as the rich aristocrat fan coming in and the common man is at the AEW show. You know what I mean? It just has that feel to it. You know, you're still excited.
You would think the WWE fans would be that way because they do, you know, cater to the kids, and you think the kids would be the ones with all the energy. But it's like GCW, AEW, that those fans are similar, man. They take that 3-hour block of time, and there's nothing in the world that means more to them than, you know, the cool wrestling stuff that's going on. And if it ain't cool, they will let you know. Mm-hmm. But in most cases, that's why AEW has built the following it has. Yeah, it's way smaller than WWE, but the numbers, you know, it's like the Trump people. You know, nobody thought Trump would ever win because all the Trumpies, but that dude could do no wrong. And it's like no matter what AEW does do wrong, their fans don't care. They love it. And, you know, they're willing to forgive some stupid stuff because they believe their overall product is way more geared toward a wrestling fan, while WWE shoves down your throat that we don't care about wrestling. We're a TV show. We're entertainment, and we're going to entertain you, damn it, whether you're entertained or not.
Fish, I know you're a big WWE guy. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, do you?
Well, we've had this discussion many times before. The biggest difference is that AEW is targeted towards wrestling fans. WWE is targeted towards everybody. So WWE almost has to dumb it down to a certain extent, so it's not going over people's heads. And it's a boon and a bane to WWE. It's a boon because it gets so many people in there. You have a larger number of pools to draw from. But it's a bane because people who like wrestling and love the industry and wanted to see what's going on, to them this is absolute crap, and that's what the product has become because it's not storyline driven like AEW is.
Yeah, and you know, I think back to the days of the Attitude Era, and even if you go back to the Hogan era as well, you think about how many people watched wrestling back then, and I know the industry's changed significantly, but when you think the top Raw drew 9+ million people, Hogan and Andre, when they were on Saturday Night's Main Event for that rematch, had 33 million people watch that show. And SmackDown
is
now
doing a 1.1.
Draws like 2 million for a show. And they, you know, you had WrestleMania where they overinflated the numbers. The actual ticket sales were around 55,000 every night, which is still great.
No, but they've had to dump Money in the Bank from Allegiant Stadium to MGM Grand Arena because of ticket sales.
Right.
I mean, that's all you need to know.
I said that from day one.
All right, and Joe's absolutely right. I'll credit to him because he did say that. The other thing that people aren't talking about is this the end of Jeff Hardy, by the way?
Yeah, there was definitely a problem there. Yeah, we'll get into that too because the injury bug is biting AEW a little bit, and we're gonna.
It's the first time that they've had to deal with that kind. I mean, they had to deal with Kenny Omega, obviously, but it's going around pretty big. It's the first time AEW's had some. Pushback, I guess you could say, or for lack of a better term, on bad things happening to them to see how they work around it.
Yeah, the bodies are breaking down, and we're going to talk about that. Of course, that concerns CM Punk as well.
We're doing predictions for Hell in a Cell, right?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So we're going to take a little bit of a break here and pay some bills for KDWN. And when we come back, we are going to talk about Hell in a Cell, get some predictions on that. What's going on with the AEW World Championship? And Mr. Hardy and the gang getting a little bit beat up. So we'd like you to stick around. We appreciate it for tuning into the Mark Hoke Show here on KDWN 101.5 FM, 720 AM. The Talk of Las Vegas. Andrew Fish, Fain, Joe DeFalco. Two of the best running mates you're ever going to have, and myself, Mark Hoke. Thanks for tuning in, and we will be right back. Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show, and visit markhokeshow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join the Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.
1015 FM, 720 AM. KDWN, the talk of Las Vegas.
This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
Ah! That's me, suckers. What's up? Welcome back to the Mark Hoke Show. We do appreciate you joining us here on KDWN, 1015 FM, 720 AM. It's a station so nice it's on your dial twice. We do appreciate you having us with. Fish is looking at me funny. Hey, come on, Fish. You're going to remember that, right?
I already knew it.
Well, but they don't.
That's a good point.
You know, maybe they're on the 720 side and they like to listen to us on FM. Or maybe they, are on the FM side and enjoy AM better. They want to listen to... Yeah, they can put it on both. You can have two radios and listen to us at the same time and have double stereo.
It's like simulcast.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Of course, Andrew Fish Fain in there and Joe DeFalco from Future Stars of Wrestling joining us as well as we bring you the best in pro wrestling news and entertainment. I did want to ask real quick one more thing on Double or Nothing, and then we're going to get away from that. The Jericho Appreciation Society match against the fivesome of Santana, Ortiz, Danielson, Moxley, and Eddie Kingston. This match has been getting a lot of good ratings from the fans and bad ratings from some of the critics because of how chaotic it was and everything and how crazy that got. What did you guys think of that? What was your impressions about that one? Because I thought there were some pretty iconic moments in that match.
There were, but I think that the critics are right to a certain extent. You can't have too much going on at once because it steals focus from each other.
Joe, what did you think of that one?
I think it was AEW's attempt to provide some sports entertainment compared to wrestling, and it seems like the doubters will continue to doubt, but the bottom line was the fans loved it. And last time they did it, the one on the football field or whatever it was, that got pretty trashed because it wasn't very good, and they upped it to where this one was universally praised by the fans, and the critics, of course, were different about it. And, when it comes to Chris Jericho these days, that's what he's about. He's about doing something entertaining. We're not really looking at Chris Jericho for like, oh, man, that wasn't a Matt Classic. He's beyond that now. He is a character. It's just like, are we going to pinpoint the things in a Steve Austin, Kevin Owens match if it was considered a match, or was it considered a fun segment in the show?
Well, it did lead to the Jericho-Santana hair versus hair match.
Yeah, and blood and guts come with that too. But I can tell you that being in the building, and I was sitting up high, so I actually had a really good vantage point for most of it. Everybody was going crazy in that match, and people can say what they want about it. But I will say this, people enjoyed it, and a lot of people are not going to forget Eddie Kingston when he popped up with a gas can in his hand and a bloody Yankee shirt walking down to the ring. I think that was a moment that people are going to remember for a while.
Oh, absolutely. And, the match was iconic. There's no question. Like I said, it's very hard for, especially, like I said, the critics are right in the spot that you have too much going on and everything draws focus, so you lose focus.
Yeah, and I will say that there were, obviously we had monitors in there, so I could see what was happening out in the concession stand when that was going on. And fortunately, I was up high, so I could see everything that was happening within the arena. So that kind of worked well for me where I was sitting. But I could see that a fan that was sitting down low, they're up close for some of it, but they can't see what else is going on elsewhere. So
when is a chaotic match too chaotic?
And that's a good question. Because it was all over the place. There was there was a lot happening in that one. That's
like
for sure.
when it's contained chaos, it's a lot easier. If it's like if there's 10 guys in a Hell in a Cell ring, it's contained by the cell, so it's easier to not lose focus. When they're all over the arena, it's impossible.
Yeah, and Jim Ross even said something during commentary. I heard that this is hard to follow, and I'm sure that'll be taken into consideration. And of course, the other news was CM Punk getting hurt. Turns out on Wednesday he hurt his foot. He's going to be having surgery. We're going to have an interim champion. The process of getting to this interim world champion, since they're not stripping Punk of the title, interesting. We're going to have a battle royal on Wednesday to open Dynamite. The winner faces Moxley, and they will advance to Forbidden Door, the pay-per-view, to face the winner of another elimination match between Hiroshi Tanahashi, who is supposed to be wrestling Punk at this pay-per-view, and Hiroki Goto, which should be a fun match to watch. But then the winners of those matches will face off at Forbidden Door, and we'll have an interim champion who at some point I would imagine will face CM Punk when he returns. Guys, is this too much?
Let me tell you something. A few years back, you see it in UFC all the time. You never see it in pro wrestling. And we had a conflict with Kevin Cross, and Matt Hardy was coming in. So I had pitched to Matt the idea of being the interim champion. We had him turn heel on the show before. He laid out Cross, blah, blah, blah. And in that situation, we had a one match, and we put, the hometown hero Kenny King against Matt Hardy, who's now a heel, as the interim champion. And then whoever wins, will face Cross at the next event. Well, because of the scheduling conflict, we knew it wasn't going to be 3 months or 6 months or 8 months. We knew kind of when the next big show was going to be, Cross would be there. So being that it's never really been used by a major company, I really like the idea. Now, the way you just described it, I don't really like the idea. It's like, if you could put two of your best guys in there with the idea of, the winner facing CM Punk when he's ready, I think that's a money match. But having a battle royal and this and that, I don't know about that.
Who do you make
But the concept is something I do think it works. Now, with Roman Reigns, he's just not around. Supposedly the heavyweight title is the most important thing.
Well, not in WWE. They're props, apparently. But who do you guys pick as your champ at this point?
I think John Moxley is going to be the champ.
You think it's Mox?
I think it's Mox.
Joe, who would you go with if it were you?
You'd have to look down the list. To me, if we're working the work, MJF would win it.
I have another suggestion.
That would be very interesting, actually.
It would be very interesting, but I have another name that I want to throw out. Eddie Kingston.
No.
They've already been promoting that Punk hates Kingston, and that would get a lot of eyes on that pay-per-view if Eddie Kingston would be the interim champion.
I don't know if he's ready to be a champ, though. That's my only issue with him.
Wouldn't the anti-hero CM Punk and take on the guy that's most despised, who they've already had a feud with, MJF? Wouldn't that draw the most eyes? The guy who's got the most heat on him right now. Now he comes in and ends up winning the belt. Well, to me, that would be, wow, CM Punk versus MJF, and this time both are champions. If you want to do a ladder match, whatever you want to do, is anybody going to care if Adam Page is the interim champion? Or will they care if MJF, who can carry this and basically bury CM Punk along the way and talk about the things that he's doing as champion that CM Punk would have never been able to do?
Yeah, I agree with you. That would probably be. I would either go with either MJF or Eddie Kingston. But I just think I think Kingston would be.
I just think that they continually position him as a guy who's like this huge underdog, but it's like, isn't this huge underdog eventually supposed to get something instead of continuous losses?
Yeah, and that's why I think this might be putting him as an interim champion may give you an opportunity. Plus, like Fish, you said, you're not sure if he's ready. this might be it could be a chance to show if he is or not. So,
dude's 40. He better be ready soon.
Yeah, you would hope. All right, so let's wrap up. We'll wrap up our AEW talk there, and let's get to this pay-per-view coming up tonight, guys. Because of course, it is still a WWE. I'm sorry, premium live event. Excuse me, Fish. You're gonna have to slap me on the wrist for that one.
I'm just, WWE just continues to find new ways to disappoint me.
I'm sorry. Why do you sound bitter? Why?
I am, because you're right. Nobody gives a damn about this this premium live event, and they should. WWE should make it so we give a damn, and they haven't done it. They've completely ruined everything by putting all their eggs in the Roman Reigns basket and having him not wrestle. There isn't a single SmackDown match on the card, or I think they added Madcap Moss and Baron Corbin, but for the most part,
oh, thank God! I've been looking to see that one.
Exactly, and yes, Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins are going to put on another great match, but a win for either one doesn't do anything, and a loss for either one doesn't. It makes no sense.
I agree. Boy, do you guys just want to bag this and talk about something else?
No, it needs to be discussed.
Yeah,
but
what happened to Thunder Rosa? Is she upset, or did she have COVID?
That I don't know. I've been hearing she hasn't been real happy with things either, about getting TV time and stuff like that. But and by the way,
there's nothing worse. It was kind of like yesterday. I had this young tag team. They got a title shot, and they were complaining about respect. And it was like, well, one of them. The other one's got his head on. And they're two young kids. They're good. They're growing. And it's like no matter what they get, they don't seem to be happy with what they're getting. Like there's always something that they should be getting more and not taking advantage of the situations that they're in. And, that's the same thing there.
Yeah, that Thunder Rosa situation is pretty interesting.
You got the title. You had the long reign. Everybody complained she didn't get it at the pay-per-view, I believe. And, because I understood it because I think they did another big moment where somebody else won a title. And I positioned it that way before, that I want the spotlight to be on the guy who just won our Nevada State title. If he wins the Nevada State title and then 2 matches later the heavyweight title gets changed, you didn't get your moment in the sun. We can do that another time. The idea is try to position these things so they have the most meaning. And, no matter what it is in wrestling, you can look at it 2 ways, and then there's always the negative ones, and then there's the positive ones, and unfortunately, I haven't gotten the storyline, or they're pushing somebody different, and it's like, well, how is it different in WWE that no matter who has the title, Charlotte Flair is generally going to be the one because she's their number one women's talent? So just because Thunder Rosa has the belt doesn't mean necessarily that they have to focus on her. It's like, that's a prop. They decided that they needed to take the belt off Britt Baker because she held it for so long. That doesn't mean they're going to lose focus on her.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely. And, of course, she won the Owen Hart tournament. So, and a lot of people are like, well, maybe Ruby Soho should have won it. But I definitely agree with that decision, too. So, yeah,
Brock Lesnar comes back. He's going to be the focus, not not Drew McIntyre. Drew's got to take a second fiddle to Brock Lesnar because Brock Lesnar is perceived, especially by Vince McMahon, as his number one star. So it's like, you're the women's champion. You're in a good position. Enjoy your run. I can see if it's been 9 months since she's been the champion and she hasn't gotten anything. It's been a month or 2. Relax.
Yeah, and I think she'll be all right. So just give that whole situation time. But I know let's talk about this WWE pay-per-view tonight, and let's take a look at what's going on real quick, guys. And the funny part is, I went on betonline.ag where they have all the betting odds, and there is only one of these matches that one of these matches that there's even close to even odds for anybody. These are blowout matches for the most part. Running it down real quick. Madcap Moss and Happy Corbin in a no-holds-barred match. Fish is shaking his head.
How did we get to this so quickly?
I don't know, but is Madcap going over? He is the minus 550 on this one.
Yeah, he's absolutely going over. They got a rocket ship tied to his back right now, so he's going over.
I assume, Joe, you would agree with that.
Yeah, that's why he beat him last month.
Yep.
To beat him again this month, because we weren't sure the first time, so we got to be positive now.
Are you sensing all of our sarcasm out there in Radio Land on the Mark Hoke Show here on KDWN 101.5 FM 720 AM? Finn Balor, AJ Styles, Liv Morgan taking on Judgment Day, Edge, Damian Priest, and Rhea Ripley. This one, I know Judgment Day is a big favorite in this one as well. Looking for it real quick. They are a minus 400.
I think Judgment Day not only wins, I think they get a new member tonight.
Oh, yeah? Who?
I'm going to go with the guy I thought was going to be in it before. That's Tommaso Ciampa, but we'll see.
Joe, your thoughts on that? Is anything crazy going to happen in this one?
I think they're going to add a new member, and he's only going to have one name.
And that would be?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
I think it'll be Ciampa also. But actually, I am intrigued in this match. I don't know, it's easy. They'll make one of the women take the fall. So if Judgment Day's going over, they're probably not going to pin Finn Balor, and they're probably not going to pin AJ. So, it'll be a woman pinning a woman on woman violence in WWE.
So Liv Morgan is going to bite the dust tonight. The U.S. title is on the line as Theory, the champion, faces Mustafa Ali. This has been a ridiculous build-up on this one, too. Fish, your thoughts on this one?
They make Theory look like a coward, and I hate it when they do this. They make the champion look like a coward a lot of the time, and was exactly what they've done with this one. And I think Theory beats him, but I'd love to see Ali win it, but I think there's no chance Theory loses the belt.
Joey's a minus 550. Ali is a plus 350. No,
I think Theory is a guy that they really should push hard, but again, when you have a secondary belt, you have to look like a mush the whole time. So, it's the most backward philosophy I've ever seen in my life. And, I highly doubt Vince brought back Ali to give him the U.S. title already.
Yeah, I just can't stand that, too, because I remember the days of the NWA when the U.S. title meant something. You had Magnum TA and Tully Blanchard, one of the great feuds of all time. But
the Intercontinental title meant something.
I was just going to say that. Exact same thing, yeah. Those secondary titles don't mean anything right now.
Yeah,
Macho Man wasn't losing on TV in non-title matches and then wrestling for the title later against the guy who beat him in a non-title match. It was like, it's just ridiculous and lazy philosophy.
Yeah, and of course, Ricochet is going to be wrestling Gunther here for the Intercontinental title, not on this pay-per-view, but I believe next week on Raw. So the Intercontinental,
SmackDown, isn't it?
Or SmackDown, excuse me. So that title is probably going to change hands too. But yeah, it is a shame that these are supposed to be your number 2 and 2A and 2B guys, and they just don't get treated like it. That's for sure.
Many people thought Steamboat and Savage was the main event at WrestleMania. As big as Hulk and Andre was, that was man, what a match that was. Or Bret Hart and Mr. Perfect, and all these classic Intercontinental matches. And it's just like, it's pathetic. It's like matches that nobody cares about, that if they were on 205, or main event, nobody would even tune in to watch.
Yeah.
But now they're on pay-per-views.
Yeah, it is sad. We've got Ezekiel taking on Kevin Owens. Boy, here's another one I just can't wait for. But this is the one that's the closest betting matchup. Ezekiel is a minus 170. Kevin Owens a plus 130. CBS's guys are predicting Owens wins this, Fish.
I think Ezekiel wins, but I want to know where they're going with the story. Well, I mean, regardless of who wins, there's nothing else they can, unless they have Elias walk down to the ring. Or they have Damian Sandow looking like Elias walking down to the ring.
That would be funny. That would actually make me pay attention.
Well, why would that be funny? I think what's funny is when Ezekiel comes out, the real Elias actually shows up and helps his brother win.
That would be
Why
great.
do you guys always insist that they're not real? How do we know? Did you know the Hebners were real or not? That was the best angle ever.
Oh,
How great would the angle be if Elias actually showed up?
if Elias actually showed up, I think the place would explode.
It would absolutely.
That's
explode.
what I'm saying. They have the chance, the possibility. So at worst, go find a guy who kind of looks like him and give him plastic surgery and make him look just like Elias for your craft. Hey, sir, you have a chance to be in a WWE superstar, but you got to change your face and be looking just like Elias. I'm telling you, there's a million independent wrestlers that would do that.
Fair enough.
I think it'd be great.
That would be interesting.
Take one for the team. You want to be a superstar, this is your shot.
You walk with Elias. Talk like Ezekiel.
That's right.
Bobby Lashley's in a 2-on-1 handicap match with almost an MVP. As betting odds on this one, we've got, sliding around here real fast. Lashley, actually, this one was a close one, too. I apologize. Bobby Lashley is a minus 160, almost an MVP, plus 120.
I would take the dogs in this one.
Do you think so?
Yeah, just because it's 2-on-1.
Joe, what do you think about this one? Other than
No, I think it's 2-on-1. That way MVP could be the guy who takes the pin, and then hopefully we can have another pay-per-view match and maybe save it for SummerSlam.
Or Money in the
Bank.
Bank.
Omos and Lashley one more time.
Oh, that would be so exciting.
Oh,
Not.
I'm not yawning already.
Why put in MVP? He's the manager. He has to take the pin.
Yeah. There are two matches that I think will be entertaining tonight. This is one of them. Bianca Belair defending the Raw Women's Championship against Asuka and Becky Lynch. Of course, this is where all the drama with Sasha and Naomi popped up.
Emanated from, yeah.
And we have Bianca Belair as a minus 550 favorite. Asuka's a plus 500. Becky's a plus 550. So
I think Sasha and Naomi come in and help Asuka win the title.
you should be writing for WWE. There you go, Fish. That would be good. Joe, any thoughts on this one?
Well, they need to pull the trigger on the work before AEW does, because then they'll say WWE was copying.
Yep.
So they better bring them out quick.
Yeah, they are still.
Because if they don't, who cares about the match?
Yeah, they are still suspended. WWE has actually made no plans for the women's tag team titles. They are apparently, at least at the moment, in limbo. And I was worried that they were going to get rid of those women's tag team titles after this happened. So there is a possibility we're going to see that. And then, of course, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say, remember, Matt Hardy was suspended and not on the roster when he attacked Edge. So
yeah. So
we have precedents. We have precedents for this.
Yes, we do. Cody Rhodes and Seth freaking Rollins. I have to enunciate that on the radio. In the Hell in a Cell match, the main event of this pay-per-view. I think it's going to be a great match. I mean, no matter where it seems like Cody's going to go over and he's the favorite on this. But Fish, I know we've talked about this, that it's the third of a trilogy. That doesn't seem like it's a...
No, a trilogy only works when the first two matches are one wins one and one wins the other. So this becomes a rubber match.
That's the breaking point. That's the it's the match breaker. Now what happens if Seth Rollins wins? Now he's 1-2, so now he has to get another match.
Well, and plus you're hurting Cody's push,
right? So you can't. There's not a single benefit comes out of this match. If Cody wins, it's like, all right, he's beaten him now 3 times. If Cody loses, it kills his push. There's no benefit to this match whatsoever.
I'm going to say there's one possibility, because there was a rumor that came up that Bray Wyatt may be coming back. There was also a rumor Cesaro was coming back, but if the rumor is true that Bray Wyatt may be popping up tonight, that would interrupt this match and maybe making a no contest. Yeah, if something like that happened, now that would get people's attention.
But what reason would Bray Wyatt have to interrupt that match in particular?
Right, with Cody Rhodes. Now, if Bo Dallas showed up, that'd be a different story. You know what I'm saying?
No, but if it was a Randy Orton match and Bray Wyatt showed up, it makes sense. If Alexa Bliss is fighting and he shows up, it makes sense. He has nothing to do with Rollins or...
Well, he did, but you had that Hell in a Cell match a few years ago.
The one when Rollins totally destroyed, which completely ruined everything.
Yes.
That was the worst Hell in a Cell match of all time.
Right. But there is a little history.
The rumor I heard was Ted DiBiase Jr. was going to come in and lay out Cody Rhodes, but he's still in jail and can't get out in time. So it's not going to happen.
A little legacy action.
Oh, my God. Well, so I guess we'll see if...
I mean, if Bray Wyatt comes back, that would be absolutely awesome. Because I think WWE needs that shot in the arm.
That they do. Well, hopefully
But again,
I'm sorry.
with his popularity, I don't think Cody Rhodes and him would be the mesh right there.
Yeah, I don't think it would be a good combination either, but hey, it's a possibility. You never know what happens in the WWE. Hey, thanks for joining us, everybody. We do appreciate it. Andrew Fish, Fain, Joe DeFalco. Make sure you check out FSW Vegas for Joe's training academy and all his great shows. And Joe, I may have a student for you, by the way.
Do it.
But yeah, how about that?
Good. We had Jerry Lynn showed up and watched our show the week before.
I'll be a referee anytime you need.
There we go. So follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, Facebook, The Mark Hoke Show, markhokeshow.com is the website. Podcasts available at markhokeshow.podbean.com, and all your favorite podcast outlets. Show us up on YouTube, too. Thanks for joining us here on KDWN 101.5 FM, 720 AM. Have a great Sunday morning, Las Vegas. We'll see you next week.
I don't mind taking a bump.